All right, so first off, I know I look terrible. I just got home from work. I'm going to be going to sleep soon, so you're going to have to just bear with me here. I haven't even taken out my shitty ponytail. um, I kind of just wanted to vent. This video isn't going to have any very important or useful information. If you're following me for my weight loss vlog stuff, I'm not really going to touch on that here. It's not really the issue at hand, so to speak. Um, I mostly want to vent frustration with work, to be honest. I just had kind of a shitty night. For the most part, it wasn't bad, but there were a couple of events that just didn't really sit very well with me. So, how do I explain this? I work in a factory. We build vehicles of a sort. I don't want to be too specific, but uh, okay. So to get down to like the most basic level, I'm just a regular like general laborer. I don't have a title or anything. I'm basically the bottom of the ladder. I think I'm maybe a step above security guards, but maybe not. Um, in pay, I definitely am. But in any case, so there's that at the bottom level, and we fill a spot on the line. So we do an actual like one of the many jobs required to build out these vehicles as they progress through the factory. Um, each line, quote unquote, has a line lead supervisor. I'm not sure of what title we use at this place yet because thankfully I never really interact with these people very much. They tend to just sit at their desk the whole time, which gets some derisive comments sometimes from the intermediate point in this chain here, the team lead. So where a line lead has the entire line that they're responsible for, a team lead has 5 to 8 people ish on that line that they are responsible for. So they're in the middle. There's regular fucking dumbasses like me, and then there's team leads, and then there's the line lead or supervisor, and then above that, there's the foreman. You see, when I first started this job back in March or so, we had a foreman. We'll call him Bill. For the ease of telling the story, we're going to give him a name, and we're calling him Bill. Um, I liked him a lot. A lot of people did. A lot of people really liked him, and he was great. He was fantastic at it. Um, he was pretty laid back and chill. He liked to joke around a lot. He was a really funny dude. And he could still be serious when the situation required it, but he wasn't like a total fucking hard ass all the time, which was great. That was why everybody liked him so much. That, and he knew what he was doing. He had been doing it a while, and he seemed to just know things off the top of his head that seemed like shit that I would never in a million years remember unless like I pull up a record or something, because he is overlooking probably hundreds of employees, and he can remember that, like, for example, maybe one night in, like, say April, they trained me on this one job out of the 100 plus in the factory. We could be in July, and he would remember that there was that one night in April that I was trained on that one job. Me out of hundreds of people, that one job out of 100 plus months ago, and he would still remember that that happened. So that was one of the ways that he was just damn good at what he did. But the thing is, he moved to a different shift. I'm on third shift, and he has moved to first. And so we got a new foreman. And the new foreman sucks bad. Um, she seems to have no clue what the fuck is going on, to be honest. But the worst part is that she's totally in denial about that. And wants to be like a hall monitor and play stickler for these petty bullshit little rules. Probably because those are the only things that like she has enough of an understanding of to feel confident enforcing versus like any of the actual job relevant shit that matters that she doesn't know anything about. Um, Hard to enforce that when you're fucking clueless about it and everybody can tell. Um, and I wanted to like her because after Bill, quote unquote, was so fucking good, like I just figured like, wow, this is a really chill workplace. I like it here. Like, damn, this is the first time I've felt like a job is not like this horrible thing that I dread going to the point of feeling ill on my way in every day. Like, no, this place is might be different. For the first handful of months that I was there, um, and then yeah, I want to say roughly a month ago we got this new foreman, and we'll call her Tanya. Not her real name, of course, but it's going to be a lot easier with names. So we're calling her Tanya. As I said, visibly clueless, but the type that is way too proud to ever admit that. And those are some qualities that make a terrible fucking leader. Um, so here's something that has me in particular really pissed off is tonight was the second time in this roughly a month that she's been the foreman that I was about to get in trouble for something that I had nothing to do with. The first time, there's this job one step down the line for me. I'm next door neighbors with this person. Um, she installs a particular part. Again, I don't want to get too specific. Um, we'll just call it a flux capacitor. There you go. There's a fucking dork reference for you. Um, she installs the flux capacitor in the spaceships that we build. I'm just being fucking stupid now. And of course, being that that is her job, she comes after me. I don't touch those. They have a technical name that I've heard a million times. I still don't know what it means. It's an abbreviation. I have no fucking clue what it stands for. These things come in a box, and this person that installs them takes them out of the box as she uses them. So I've never even really seen one, to be honest, because I don't really pay that much attention to what my neighbor on the line is doing. I'm more focused on my own shit. So there's one day that it's coming up. It's like in the last 2 hours of the shift, and my team lead, who I'm on really good terms with, he's a fucking great dude. My team lead comes up to me and he says, Tanya has requested you down at the team room, we call it. Um, it's kind of her office, but it's also kind of a break room at the same time. It's weird. It's like they've got like cafeteria tables and vending machines and stuff, and then her desk and computer are just right there in the open. There's no separation between the like dining table area and her computer, like direct line of sight. Um, so yeah, I was requested to go down there, and of course, every time you get called down to the team room, it's probably disciplinary in nature or close enough. So I immediately knew, like, ah, fuck, here we go. I'm in for something. What the fuck did I do? I get down there, and she's telling me that I've been installing these flux capacitors wrong. And I'm like, what? What is that? She repeats the actual term for it. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that is. And she's like, it's like a black box kind of. And I'm like, I don't handle any kind of a black box on my job. So she goes into the computer system and pulls up like we call them job element sheets for my station and sees that the flux capacitor is not in any of my job element sheets because it's not part of my fucking job. She didn't know that. And come to find out, it was this person right next to me who does miss shit a lot of the time. She doesn't pay the most attention to the job. Um, and so I almost got in trouble because of her fucking up, just because our foreman didn't know that I don't do that thing. But here's where I'm kind of getting in my head about things, especially with my PTSD. I can be paranoid as shit. Um, and especially because my PTSD comes from very manipulative people that I've been abused by, frankly. Um, and so it's not just like, it's specifically this kind of social manipulation, underhanded, backstabby type bullshit is like very specifically something that I tune into way too hard because of things that have happened in my past. And so the thing is, there are two options in my mind, and that is either A, someone told her that the flux capacitors were part of my job, or someone told her that those were getting fucked up and she assumed it was me because, like, I'm right next to the job that actually does it. And so it's not too hard for her to imagine that maybe it's part of my job if she doesn't, of course, actually know that much about these jobs. Maybe she took it upon herself to decide that it was probably me that fucks them up. The thing is, whenever anyone in my team makes a mistake, somebody down the line will catch it, and then they will radio my team lead, who will then come around and tell whoever fucked up, hey, you fucked up. I don't get those complaints. Like my first week or two on the specific job that I have been working, yeah, it was my first week or two doing that job. There was a learning curve. But for over a month now, I haven't heard shit about how I'm doing my job because there's nothing for them to complain about, apparently. Um, I'll ask my team lead sometimes. I'll be like, "Hey, have you heard anything about, like, I'll pick out a specific component that I think like maybe I'm not doing the best or something," and he'll be like, "No, I haven't heard anything. No complaints on your end." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, just checking in." Um, because I get kind of hard on myself sometimes, and so I'm more likely to assume that I'm doing something wrong than I am to actually do something wrong. So I need some reassurance sometimes. But that's just the thing is, I haven't had any complaints in so long. I'm I feel like 100% confident on this job. And so today, Tanya comes around to our team and picks out multiple people as they're working, like right there on the line, instead of calling them to the team room. She came up to us one by one and is like, "Hey, you're doing this wrong," or something. Her thing for me, how am I gonna? Oh shit! I need to think of another fake fucking vehicle part. Um, um, uh, uh, steering wheel washing fluid. Sure, we'll go with that. She told me that I was inconsistently installing, as in not every truck got one when every truck is supposed to get one, inconsistently installing the pump for the steering wheel washing fluid. um, and the fact of the matter is that that's step one on my job, and I stand next to a big ass box that takes up the entirety of a 3x4 pallet full of these parts. The whole time I'm doing this job, I don't miss any of those. I know that for a fact. I know that for an absolute fact that I have gone weeks, a month or more without missing a single one of those. So I told her, like, she came up to me and she's like, "You install these, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." Because in my mind, it's like, I'm standing right fucking next to them. Yeah. Um, and she's like, "Well, they're telling me that you're missing them, so we're going to be watching you to make sure that you're doing your job right," or some shit like that. And I was like, "No." I said, "I don't know who the fuck told you that, but that's not true." And she's like, "You don't need to swear at me. Just be aware that we're watching and you need to do better," or some shit like that. And that really pissed me off because it's like, I know for a fact that's not happening. I guarantee it. It's not happening. So I don't know where that came from. And it just feels so fucking like patronizing to be told that I'm doing something wrong that I know that I'm not doing wrong. And my team lead knows, and he stood up for me. Because the thing is, in putting this part in, there are these little threaded pegs that it goes into. I assume they're actually just bolts that have been welded to the frame of the vehicle. But as the body shop side of the factory is welding these things, sometimes bits of welding flash, whatever you want to call it, a burr of some sort, gets stuck to these fucking threaded pegs. And the problem is they're like just exactly the right size for the steering wheel washing fluid pump to slip onto, and any bit of like extra, like too much paint on these fucking things will make it so that you cannot, physically cannot, put the pump, quote unquote, onto the fucking pegs. You can't. The fucking pegs don't fit through the holes in the plastic in the thing. And so what happens is I'm not equipped to deal with that. So there's a string that we pull on like there's like a rafter sort of situation above us. We pull that string and it sounds an alarm and it lets our team lead know that we need help with something. And so I'm supposed to, whenever I see one of those, I just pull the cord, or if my team lead's like right there, I'll just yell at him. And he comes over and he deals with it. And that's the way we've been doing things this entire time, since before I even got on that job. It's not just like a special deal for me. That's the standard procedure for the job. The thing is, at some point, maybe one or two of these cases had something happen where I pulled the alarm or whatever, and my team lead said he would handle it, and then something else came up that was super urgent, and he got distracted fixing some other thing and forgot to fix the one thing that I had fucking go by. And so in that case, the vehicle would get to the station that needs to work with that pump, and it would be not installed and just sitting in the floorboards. That maybe happens once or twice, and again, it wasn't me that did it because I have no recourse for that situation. I don't have the tools to deal with it. My team lead does. And if my team lead doesn't deal with it, it can't get dealt with until somebody lets him know and he has to go hunt it down and deal with it. So I can't do anything about that. So twice in this like month that she's been here, I've been chewed out for a job that I don't even do, and B, an aspect of my job that I don't have any control over. Because I don't do the welding, and whenever somebody who does do the welding fucks it up, I have no way to handle that. So I'm feeling pretty frustrated. I'm feeling honestly singled out, which I talked to my team lead, and he thinks that I'm being paranoid. Of course, I'm being paranoid. That's like my thing. I'm a very paranoid person, to be honest. I have fucking PTSD, like I said. So the thing for me is the line lead, who we will call Jimmy. The line lead is notoriously kind of a dick, and he gives off like some super conservative vibes, which I have all of this going on, so I kind of wonder if maybe he just doesn't like me very much. And maybe he's the one that's been telling Tanya that these things are my fault when he would know that they're not. Anyone who's actually familiar with any of these jobs would know. And so he would. He might be stupid. I don't know that much about him, but even if he is, like, it's hard to imagine him being that stupid that he would not know that I can't do anything about this shit. So it could be that he is telling Tanya that this shit is my fault and that she's simply being misled. Or it could be that he's giving her the correct information, but Tanya is choosing to spin it to have some excuse to get on my ass about it. Because the thing is, she's been on my ass about other things, seemingly for no fucking reason, and I don't see her doing that to anybody else. Um, she just seems to like to fucking gripe at me, and it bothers me. And I can't help but feel like I'm getting a sort of special treatment here in a negative sense. Um, I'm gonna have to just see how shit plays out, I guess. But I mean, at the same time that this is happening, they've started instituting bag searches, like people's lunch bags and shit, or like any bag that you bring in. Um, and one of the funniest parts for me is these are unarmed security guards who are largely in their late teens to mid 20s, somewhere in there. Most of them. Some of them are like old dudes, like real old. And yeah, unarmed, unarmored. I can only imagine very few of them have any sort of like hand to hand combat training. And they're out here searching bags. And better yet, they don't just search your bag on entry, they'll search it on your way out too. Which just seems ridiculous because, like, the cover they're giving us, of course, is that, like, because of some recent incidents involving weapons, which nobody's been hurt or anything, but like people have been discovered bringing shit in that they shouldn't have. And they're like, because of that, we're going to be searching bags now. And it's like, well, why are you searching them on people's way out? Like, even if there is a gun in there, if they're leaving with it, that's what you want, right? For the gun to not be on the premises anymore or something like that. But of course, it's obvious that this is a loss prevention thing more than anything. And they're, quite frankly, in a very tone deaf, insensitive way, weaponizing this fucking security culture and the media sensation around mass shootings as a flimsy fucking smokescreen for the fact that they want to weed out people stealing shit. I don't know. It all just pisses me off so bad. I have a huge authority problem. It's why I left my last job, was that the management there had such a hostile attitude towards their workers, and I couldn't stay there anymore because I knew I was gonna fucking take a swing at somebody if I did. And that's stupid. I don't want to do that. But there was no way for me to stay there and be able to control myself anymore. So it was do that or leave. And I chose leave. It seemed like the better option. Um, and that's something I've been struggling a lot with lately is dealing with my anger when it concerns people who are above me, my superiors. Um, when they're like just fucking buddy buddy with me like Bill was. Bill. Um, I liked him. I miss him. I wish he was back. I had a good rapport with him and I appreciated him a lot. I thought he was a good leader and he did me at least one favor that I know of that I really appreciate. He tried to accommodate my PTSD shit because it's not just this whole situation, but also just I don't handle stress very well anymore. My response to stress is rage, um, which circles back around to this whole situation, controlling that anger. You see, the problem is I was traumatized primarily in 2015. It's 2023. It's been 8 fucking years. Slightly more when you account for the fact that this happened in spring of 2015. It's summer of 2023. Over 8 years that the incidents that scrambled my fucking brain took place. 8 years later, and I am still struggling to deal with just the day to day reality of the anger that I have, which comes from the stress, really, for the most part. Because what would happen when Bill was still there, uh, I was getting trained on a new job every night, basically. And it was really stressful because, like, if you can't keep up, then the line goes down and everybody looks at you, and a bunch of management types come over to see what the fuck the problem is and try to get the line back running again. And it just becomes this huge spectacle where you feel like an idiot that's holding everything up and everybody's getting frustrated with you and all that. There are varying extents to which those thoughts may or may not be true. I think a lot of the time people aren't getting nearly as frustrated with you as you might think. But again, I'm paranoid and I'm already like basically constantly fighting off a panic attack the entire time I'm awake every single day. And so like the high level of background radiation sort of stress plus the stress of being on this new job and everybody watching me fuck up and this fear in my mind that everybody's pissed off at me when they probably really aren't. But I'm just the whole time I'm like, fuck, probably everybody on this line wants to cave my fucking head in right now because they can't just keep it running because I keep fucking this up and I'm about to get in trouble and it all just fucking spirals into this huge thing where I just lose it and I start to get like preemptively angry, almost to like emotionally protect myself from the scolding that I think is coming. Like I start getting into this mindset of like, if they come over here and they're gonna, try and fucking dress me down for this shit, then I'm gonna respond like this, and it's gonna be like this crazy bout of righteous anger. And of course, no, like I know better, but like the the less rational, more emotional side of my mind wants to run down that rabbit hole and be like, you need to win the anger game. You need to be the angrier one. You need to escalate further than they're willing to go and just stay in control of the situation and deny them any power, which is a terrible way to do things. Don't ever do that, please. And the thing is, I'm aware of that. And so I have this battle going on in my head between the one side that wants to be a total fucking psychopath and act like an animal, and then the other side that's like, Jesus Christ, we can't do that. We can't afford to be that way. We're going to lose the fucking job, and then our whole life is going to fall apart again, as it keeps happening seemingly every other year ever since I graduated high school. Um, and it's just, yeah, it's just becoming this thing where I feel so at a loss in terms of like just not having any control over what I'm feeling, or being worried that I might lose control in public. And if there is somebody there who is like immediately in my vicinity and they're being angry with me, if that happens to be the moment that I lose it, I might hurt them. Like, I might not be able to, depending on who it is, which would be the better outcome. If they just beat my ass instead, I have it coming. But if it's someone that I could take, which again, like I'm about 5'10", 200 pounds, and I do have about 2 years of Muay Thai and Jiu Jitsu under my belt. So I'm not a slouch, but I'm not like, I'm by no means a bad motherfucker. Like I'm surprisingly capable for a femboy. So there you go. Um, and I just worry, like, how far would I take it? Would I grab something around me and use it to like bludgeon them with or something? In the law's eyes, that would be considered a deadly weapon depending on what it is, and I could do a lot of jail time behind that. Um, so I can't do that. I can't do that. But I also am at the point where it feels like I just have so little control that I'm starting to get worried that like I might really fucking snap and I'm gonna end up ruining my fucking life over it, and I can't do that. Um, and I have no idea how to de-escalate myself, like how to take this feature out of my mental pathways so that it's not even a feeling that I have anymore. That's ideally how I would like it to be, is to no longer even consider any remote possibility of getting physical with somebody over some stupid shit like being a fucking hall monitor at work or whatever. Like I never want to be that person in any capacity, but I feel like my condition is turning me into that person, and it's the fucking worst. It's a nightmare, and I don't know what to do. I really don't. Clearly I should be seeing a counselor or something. As far as coverage goes, I'm not sure what's happening there. I really need to look into that part of things. That's really the only reason I haven't already. Of course, I live in the United States, and any kind of healthcare, especially something that is not immediately life threatening, like, for example, your mental health, um, a lot of the times you're kind of fucked and shit out of luck if you don't have money. And I do not have a lot of money. So yeah, I need to check in with my insurance and see what I can get and then check in with the places around here. Fuck. Sorry. Like I said, I came home from work not that long ago. Um, I need to check in with the places around here and see where, how they're going to mesh with the insurance and see if I'm going to be at least partially covered, what copays are going to be like, etc. I've been trying to like, you know, there are like self-talk sort of things that you can do. Um, I can talk to somebody else about it and, hopefully gain a more rational perspective from them and like bring me out of my head a little bit. I also have been smoking a lot of weed. Um, and these are all things that help, but not enough because the problem is becoming quite severe, it seems. I don't even know if is becoming is necessarily the way to phrase it, because it was clearly a big problem at my last job too, and that was about a year ago. Um, my job before that, it never really came up much. Well, there was that warehouse gig that was fuck again. Sorry, I did that warehouse gig for 3 months. I wasn't there long enough to have too much happen. But before that, I was in security for multiple years, and I didn't have a lot of anger there either. But the problem is, like, I can count on one hand the amount of times I saw management, aside from this one work site, had a captain there. But again, I saw that guy maybe like 5 times in the span of a year or more that I had that work site. And that was it. Like, I had very few experiences with management, and it was so hands off and independent that there wasn't a lot for me to be angry about. It was a pretty cushy job. Like, if the pay wasn't so bad, it was terrible. If it wasn't, I would still be working that job. It was great. But yeah, so I can't necessarily say that this is a new problem. It feels new because it's only the last 2 jobs where it has actually presented an issue for me. But it might be older than that, and it just the situations to bring it up had not come around for me at the time. And so maybe I'm just now noticing it really. But I don't know. I felt like I wanted to vent about that, but also like if people have like advice for this sort of like anger directed at authority figures, like specifically that. Because it's not like I don't have like a lot of more general anger. Like I'm not like a super road ragey type person. I don't like scream at video games. If I find that I'm not having fun playing a game, I just quit and like look for something else to do. I don't routinely break shit or anything. I don't do a lot of screaming in general. It's specifically at work when I'm stressed out and or when like a management type is being shitty with me. Like those are the very specific circumstances where I just completely fly off the handle. And outside of that, that doesn't really happen. But in those scenarios, oh boy, does it happen. And it's bad. Um so like, what are your fucking stories of dealing with petty tyrants as managers, and like how did you deal with that? Not just in the sense of like, if you needed to talk to HR about it or some shit, whatever. I'm more looking into just the how did you deal with that emotionally? How did you handle this person treating you like that and keep yourself civil and stable? Um, because I have no idea. I'm at a loss. I'm out of guesses on that one for my circumstances. I mean, obviously, I need to change the way that I think, but changing a mental habit takes a lot of work over a long period of time. And I need something a bit more immediately effective, I feel like. Um, Now that I say that, it sounds like I'm fishing for drugs. I have Clonopin. I just never fucking take them because like they're benzos, and I don't really want to play with that fucking fire. Um, That may make me super fucking sleepy, which I get like 4 hours of sleep a night. So that's I would end up passing the fuck out at work, and that would be really bad. They would probably drug test me, and as much as like the Klonopin is prescribed to me, if I pass out at work and they find Klonopin and THC in my system, then I assume I would probably be out of a job. Um, just a wild fucking guess. Uh, I guess that's pretty much it. Just to give a more general sort of update for things, nothing really has happened since the last time. Um, in my last like weight loss vlog, I said I was thinking about bulking or something. That definitely didn't happen. I've actually lost a bit more. And I'm still going back and forth between like I want to be stronger and more capable in like a fight or at work or whatever, and so I want to bulk so I can put on more muscle mass. And then on the other side, like for aesthetic reasons, I would rather be really thin. And like I've made all this progress so far, and I'm at the point where I can just barely see my ribs, and I'm like, I want to like actually get to what would be considered a normal or healthy BMI, and like, you know, the smaller I get, like the better like selection of clothing I have. But then again, like on the other hand, that very quickly can lead into eating disorder territory, and I need to be super careful not to let things get there. And then there's a third option in my mind where it's like, why don't I just pick 190 ish and just stay at that weight and train my ass off, eat plenty of protein, and just try to stay 190 ish, and I'll just like recomp over time, just gradually turn some fat into muscle. The only problem with that is that it takes years to accomplish the same kind of results you could get in a year by doing like an actual bulk cut cycle type situation. So it's super slow going for minimal results if you do that, but it's also kind of the safest option. Like I don't feel like I'm at risk of like totally relapsing on my binge eating habits and like losing all of the progress I made, but I also won't feel like I'm running headfirst into eating disorder territory and like taking things in a dangerous direction, because if I just stay at 190, like 190 is a plenty reasonable weight, according to BMI, too heavy for someone my height. Um, so if I stay there, I know like I'm not going to be malnourished. Not unless I just constantly work out and I get super lean, but like with a lot of muscle. But that's not going to happen. I'm not on gear anyways. Um, I, I don't see how it could happen. So yeah, I might main gain, as the cool kids are saying these days, or I might keep losing, or I might pivot and go back to trying to bulk again. The thing is, it was just fucking hard, honestly. I felt like I was eating a lot more, but my weight was not changing much at all. Like a pound a month. There's some shit like that. It was ridiculous. It's like, how much do I have to fucking eat? Like, I'm already eating so much, I feel sick, and I can't gain weight. What? How? For the first time in my fucking life, I'm struggling to gain weight. Uh, that one still escapes me. I'm not sure how that happened. I will say, if I had eaten fast food for every meal, I absolutely would have gained weight, but I can't afford that. So, um, it is what it is. We'll see what kind of decision I eventually come to, if I ever make a decision as far as that goes. But yeah, that's about it. Nothing else really happening in my life right now that I haven't already talked about. Um, it's been pretty dry. It's been pretty boring. I do have one thing. I'm about to start a D&D campaign as the Dungeon Master for the first time. My big DM debut. That's going to be fun. And it's a lot of homebrew. Came up with my own fucking continents and countries and different sort of like languages. It's not like I actually like created languages that could be used, as much as like, the classic D&D languages of like common, undercommon, etc. I'm not using those. It's a whole homebrew fucking array. of other made up languages. I'm coming up with a pantheon of gods. I instituted a tarot card system that pulls off of a d20 so that the players can do tarot readings for each other and shit like that. Like I'm really getting into it. And I just hope they like it. I hope that it doesn't suck. Because there's that voice in the back of my head that's like, this probably does all suck. This is probably super obviously amateurish, and they're gonna hate it. And I need to not just like let myself jump to that conclusion. I really need to let the first session happen and judge the reactions, and then take it from there instead of just immediately setting myself up as like expecting to fail. But anyways, yeah, that's the only thing that's been happening aside from working, sleeping, working out, doing chores. And that's it. That's my life. Living the dream. I'll see you next time.